So the next section actually deals with analyzing patterns. Sometimes you have a pattern in mind that you want to use. And in this case, you look at it and it doesn't look rectangular. I mean, how can I use that to create my my paneling? I think I'll go over this example in a preview to explain here. Since we have quite a bit to cover at this point. So what you'll see in this image is that you have your base image that you try to imitate, and you slowly look like you can extract some major lines in one direction, and let me color those. Let me lock it here. So I'll color the U direction curves in red to differentiate. So you see the red direction, this is one direction I can see and extract from this pattern, and the green is the other direction that I can extract. If I look closely, I find that I have here between A and if I'm just moving this copy to show you the kind of corner points of my module. I can start recognizing this as a module, and if you look, it's actually repeating in that row, right? So whatever that is expanding over 2 units is the same. And you'll see that this is exactly the same kind of module that is repeating, but it's a bit staggered. So now you'll see that this is actually like that. Move it. The next part is the exact same module, but it's actually staggered a little bit. And now you are starting to see a pattern in the way that that module is repeating. Something similar to what's here in this image, that you have the gray one that is repeating the corner one, and the blue one is a little staggered than the red, and again it will start repeating itself. Once you've figured out what kind of pattern is created, what kind of grid that you will need, you will end up with that situation, repeatable situation that will be easily manipulated or created using paneling tools. So you'll see that this is the kind of module. If I want to create edges, that's the kind of module. Here you go. Now you can see. That's the module that you can use to populate, to create that effect. So let's work with an option here that we haven't done before, is the using the curves in one direction and on the second direction. That's what we're trying to create. I'm just going to hide that and recreate it using that grid. All right. So I'll just hide the points as well. One of the options we had to creating grids is to use the intersection of curves. And this one will actually allow me to create the first direction curves. And I can use automatic sorting, or I can force my own selection order. And then the second direction curves. And this is a really useful if you had like complex polysurface. You project the curves to them, to the polysurface, and use these curves to generate your grid points. So I have my grid points now selected, and I have or generated. If I use a simple paneling routine, panel 2D grids, then you'll see how that is distributed on the grid, just like any other grid we generated. But in this case, I want to distribute that module that I have here on the left, and I want to distribute it on that grid, and I want to create that staggered kind of effect. One really useful way to do that is to orient your module to a grid. And this allows me to select my module base point. I can define its direction, and a fourth point if I want to distort it to fit within the grid. And then it will actually ask me whether I want to start it with the base, and if I want to shift it, how many points in the U and V direction. Remember that we wanted to shift it by 3 in the V direction. If you look at the module here, I'm going to create that A module, and it's going to be repeating on that direction, but it's going to jump a few rows before it repeats on the next one. And that's what I'm trying to generate here. I want to also extend it 2 grid units at a time. So I'll create 2. So that will span over 2 grid units. Let's run it again. I didn't select the grid. This is it. And you select the grid. And that's just showing me if I'm having a matching kind of direction. And I didn't extend in the right. I need to shift it by actually more than 3. Do it again. So select the module object, base. Now I'm starting 0, 0. I shift it in the U direction by 2 because I expanded over 2 grid points, so I had an overlap previously. Select the grid, and that would generate the distribution I'm looking in the first level. To get the second level, I just need to run the command again and generate it, the second row. And I know that I'm starting from 1 and then 1 base. Why? Because I want to start my module from that particular point. Select my grid. And then again, and you'll see how you start building that pattern as you go in the third row, and that's it. That's gonna create the kind of module we're looking for. The thing about this is once you generate all your surfaces, you can work with them using Rhino commands. So for example, you can join those into one poly surface. You can extrude them in the 3D dimension to create your maybe 3D print or a model. So this is very, very helpful process, is that what appears sometimes to be a pattern that cannot be generated or doesn't look rectangular, actually if you look closely you can actually break it into rectangular modules in some cases. And that's something to kind of consider as you move with this kind of paneling process. Now I think we have covered much of the different ways we present or we deal with the grids and generate them.